Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Every Day's a School Day with the Butterfly Princess. This week we are discussing Lecture 5, entitled The Jewish and Samaritan Schism, that forms part of the 24 lecture series taught by Professor Jodie Magnus. And these are some of I'm going to discuss some of the issues that she discusses and my take on them. So this lecture is all about how the Israelites are allowed to return from Babylon from the Babylonian exile, and the relationships they have between the Samaritans and the relationship that Jesus laid has with the Samaritans. So, firstly of all, I'm going to tell you about the end of the Babylonian exile. It's a very much fascinating historical event. It is also often linked to the decree by Cyrus the Great, who was the Persian king. Now he conquered Babylon, the region of Babylon, in the year of 539 BCE. This moment in itself marks a momentous change for the Israelites, as when Cyrus conquered the region of Babylon with the invention of his decree. This allowed the Israelites to return to their homeland and rebuild Jerusalem, and this included them rebuilding the second temple. Now, this is going to be the second temple in the time of Jesus that he will predict the fall of during the late Second Temple period. The return from exile was exceedingly significant for the Israelites because it just wasn't just about moving back home. It symbolised a reventilation of their cultural and religious life. So you have number one, restoration of worship. The rebuilding of the Second Temple was crucial for restoring religious practices central to the Israelites' identity. The temple was not just a physical building that was there, but it was also a symbolic symbol of the presence of God. The God in this context being the God of Israel. And it was also a symbolisation of his favour as well as his presence. Number two, cultural renewal. Being in Babylon, the Israelites were exposed to different cultures and practices. So they were exposed to a lot of Babylonian practices and cultures. Returning to their homeland, this allowed them to renew their traditions and reinforce their unique cultural identity, which might have felt diluted while in exile. Number three, fulfillment of prophecy. Many religious prophecies spoke of returning and rebuilding their land. This return validated those beliefs, encouraging a sense of diverse purposes and community cohesion. 4. National unity. The Israelites shared experiences of exiles and shared experiences of exile experienced by the Israelites fostered a sense of community and unity. People came together for a common cause, rebuilding their homeland, strengthened their national homeland. So now I want to explore the impact of the Babylonian exile, both on on Judea, the region of the Jews, and then I want to explain a bit about the impact that the Babylonian exile had on the people of Babylon. So firstly of all, each was unique in their own way. So firstly of all, we're going to just look at the impact of the Babylonian exile on the region of Judea. So number one was repopulation. The return of exiles to their home, to Judea, meant a significant increase in the population of Judea. This helped regenerate the area economically and socially. Families rebuilt homes and communities, providing stability and growth. 2. Religious transformation. Jewish religion identity became more defined. The exiles taught them the Babylonian exile taught them the importance of their traditions, leading to a stronger emphasis on Torah study and adherence to religious law. Number 3, cultural identities. Being back in their homeland allowed the Israelites to cultivate their cultural and national identity, distinct from Babylonian influences. This process, in turn, allowed the creation of a strong community bound with a great sense of purpose. What was the impact on the Babylonians what was the impact of the Babylonian exile on the Babylonians? So number one, cultural exchange. Even though many Israelites returned to Judah, the years of exile resulted in some cultural exchanges. This resulted in the empire of the Babylonians having a number of rich interactions with different cultures, including the Israelites, which in turn influenced its own cultural tapestry. 2. Population shift. As the Israelites left Babylon, it represented a shift in the demographics of the region of Babylon. Although Babylon was a hub in many scales, the departure marked the end of an era and enriched the cultural diversity of Babylon. 3. Political change. The shift to Persian control under the rule of Cyrus the Great, in turn represented new political dynamics. Some structures from the Babylonian era, including residents like the Israelites, were greatly affected by this transition of power. What sort of cultures were the Israelites exposed to during the Babylonian exile? So number one is Babylonian culture, religion. The Israelites were introduced to Babylonian religious practices, including worship of Babylonian deities that included Marduk and Ishtar. They had to balance maintaining their own monotheistic belief, so that is the belief and worship of one God, for God of, in this case, worship and belief in the God of Israel, Yahweh, beliefs with the polytheistic environment around them. So the Babylonians were polytheists, so this means that they believed and worshipped in many different gods. Number 2, literature and art. Babylon was rich in artistic and literal heritage, including tales like the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, I've already, you may be familiar with the Tale of Gilgamesh, because I did mention it slightly in the very first episode of Women Who Have Shaped Worldwide Belief and the belief and the first woman who I included in the series. If you go back into the series and you look up episode 1, that is the woman that is connected with the heroic figure of Gilgamesh. In turn, these works may have sparked interest and contributed to a number of literature and storytelling tradition among the Israelite tribes. Number 3, astronomy and science. Babylon was advanced in areas like subjects of like astronomy and the science of mathematics. The Israelites who were exiled may have encountered these scientific ideas, but in turn influencing their understanding of the world. Persian influence. After the conquest of after Cyrus the Great was able to conquer the region of Babylon, the Persian Empire that came into creation due to the fact of Cyrus the Great's conquest of Babylon. Babylon had played a major role also. So each of them. Number 1, governance. Persian administrative practices and government systems could have influenced how the Israelites organised society upon their return. Efficient bureaucracies and fair trade could have inspired similar practices in the region of Judea. Religious tolerance. The Persians are known for their relative religious tolerance, which might have encouraged Israelites to feel more secure in practicing their faith freely and openly under the Persian rule. So other nearby cultures that the Israelites may have been exposed to while in exile in Babylon. So number 1, we have Egyptian influences. So while not directly from the captivity period, interactions with Egypt over centuries provided cultural narratives and influences in art, language, and governance style. Assyrian legacy. Preceding Babylonians' rule, the Assyrians had impacted the region, possibly leaving remnants of their culture in mixed social practices. The Babylon, however, on the however, what were the changes? What were So the Babylonians, on the other hand, also experienced several significant differences due to the Babylonian exile. Now, these are sort of the impact that it had on them. So let's look at how the period of exile had on the Babylonians. So you had number one was called demographic shift. So this can relate to cultural diversity. The arrival and presence of the Israelites already added to Babylon's already diverse demographic landscape. This multicultural environment encircled Babylon's social tapestry, bringing in new traditions and perspectives. Number two, population changes. With the end of the exile, the departure of a segment of the population led to the shifts in communities. Although Babylon remained a vibrant metropolis, losing the Israelites meant a change in local commerce and social interactions. Economic impacts. Number one, skills and trade. Israelites, like many exiles, contributed various skills and trades during the exile. Their departures meant a shift in the workforce and local economy, thus impacting artisanship and possibly even trade networks. Economic exchange. The interaction among different cultures, including the Israelites, may have fostered economic exchange, enhancing trade. Their departure injected an adjustment period for the local economy. Political dynamics. Shift to Persian rule. Cyrus the Great's conquest signalled a major political shift, with the Persian Empire advocating for religious freedom and administrative efficiency. Babylon found itself navigating a number of new political structures. Imperial change. Under Persian rule, Babylon's rule transitioned from the heart of an empire to a significant city with a larger realm, altering its political and cultural significance. Cultural interactions, ideologic exchanges, exposures to Israelites' belief, including their religious ideas, might have influenced or intrigued Babylonian philosophical thought, sparking dialogue across different cultural practices. So now I want to talk about the rule of the Ebon era now. So the Ebon era, this refers to a historical geographic term used from the time of the Assyrian and Babylonian empires to describe regions of the western part of the continent of Asia, and these regions included parts of modern-day Syria, Lebanon, Israel and Jordan. So, geographic significance, crossroads. Eben-Erra was strategically significant due to its position as a crossroads for trade and cultural exchange. The location meant that it was a melting pot of diverse influence and a hub for commerce. Diverse cultures. This region hosted a variety of cultures, including Babylonian, Assyrian, and later Persian influences, along with the local cultures. Such diversity created a rich tapestry of ideas, customs, and traditions. Political context. Administrative divisions under the Persians, Eben-Erra became an administrative district governed by a regional government. This emphasised the importance of administration and local governments in ancient empires. Imperial influence. The shift in control from Assyrians to Babylonians to Persians illustrates the region's strategic importance and its role in larger imperial politics. Each empire contributed to policies affecting local cultures and governances. Economic rule, trade routes. Due to its position, Eben-Erra was vital to trade across the Fertile Crescent. Goods, ideas, and people moved through the area, thus contributing to its economic prosperity and cultural dynamics. Resource exchange. The flow of various resources like agriculture, cultural products, materials, metals, and textiles supporting both local and broader imperial economics, thus making Eben-Erra economic significant region. So I'm now going to look at the role of Ezra. So Ezra was significant for his role as a priest and scribe. Within his role, he helped to restore and reinforce the religious practices among the Israelites back in the region of Judah. He emphasised the study and adherence to the Torah, making it central to the life of the community. Community reformation. Community reformation. Ezra led reforms to revive the community's dedication to their traditions and laws. His efforts including tackling issues of intermarriage, which he believed threatened the purity of the community's religious identity. Nehemiah. Now, he was the governor of Judea, and he had a very special relationship with Ezra. So he took charge as the governor of Judea, focusing extensively on the physical and social rebuilding of Judaism, including the crucial task of restructuring the city walls. This was both acted as a practical and symbolic act of fortification and protection. Social and economic reforms. He also incited reforms aimed at social justice, including addressing economic disputes and exploitation, ensuring that the community's foundation was fair and just. Collective impact. unified leadership. Together, Ezra and Nehemiah formed a partnership of spiritual and political guidance, thus ensuring that both the religion and secular aspects of community life were nurtured and balanced. Revitalised identity. Their combined efforts helped revive the Israelite sense of identity and purpose, encouraging unity and dedication to their faith and heritage after the disruption of exile. What was the transition? What was the evolution from the Israelite religion to that of the Judaism? So the Israelite religion, polytheism to monotheism. The early Israelite religion involved the worship of multiple deities, gradually moving towards strict monotheism centered around Yahweh, the God of Israel. This shift marked significant change in religious devotion and understanding. Temple worship. Sacrificial offerings and rituals were primarily performed at the temple in Jerusalem. This centralised worship highlighted the importance of the temple as the focal point of religious life and community gatherings. Tradition to Judaism. Exile influence. The Babylonian exile was a very important role. Was very important as it prompted a re-evaluation of faith among adversity. The experience encouraged developing more personal and portable forms of worship, including prayer and scripture study. These were essential elements of later Jewish practices. Development of religion development of rabbinic traditions. Post-exile period saw the rise of new leaderships forms notably rabbis who provided spiritual guidance and interpretation of scriptures. This was fundamental in transitioning to Jewish practices, focusing on education and community learning. Torah and synagogue. The emphasis shifted to the Torah and synagogue gatherings, where studying and discussing texts became pillars of the everyday Jewish life. These practices thus prompted continuous learning and individual connections to faith beyond traditional temple rituals. Cultural adaptations. As Jews dispersed through various regions, Judaism adapted culturally while maintaining core beliefs and practices. The adaptability allowed Judaism to thrive in diverse contexts, evolving with changing social landscapes. Temple sacrifice was a central element of ancient Israelite religious practices and reflects an intriguing aspect of spiritual and community life. So, purpose of sacrifice. Communication with the divine. Sacrifices were seen as a way to communicate with and honour the God of Israel, seeking favour, forgiveness and expressing gratitude. This act reflected a deep sense of relationship, responsibility between the people and the God of Israel. Atonement and purification. Sacrifices, particularly sin offerings, served the purpose of atonement for sins. They were believed to cleanse the individual of our community, thus restoring purity and holiness. Types of offerings. burnt offerings. These were worldly consumed by fire and symbolised total dedication to God. The smoke was regarded as a pleasing aroma ascending to heaven. Peace offerings. These included shared meals between the offerer, priest, and God, symbolising community, unity, and peace. It's akin to sharing fellowship in gratitude and celebration. Grain offerings. Such offerings, often alongside burnt sacrifices, involved grains, cakes, or wafers, symbolising subsistence and thanksgiving. Social and religious functions, festival and community. Sacrifices were central to religious festivals such as the festival of Passover or Pesach, that is the Hebrew word for Passover, or Shavuot, which brought the community together in collective worship and celebration, reinforced collective identity and tradition. Priestly roles. Festivals and community. Sacrifices were central to the priest played an integral role in performing sacrifices, serving as intermediaries between God and the people. Their duties extended to maintaining temporal rituals and spiritual guidance. Those temple sacrifices waned with the destruction of the temple in the year 1770 CE. They set the foundations for modern religious practices, evolving into more symbolic forms of worship seen in today's Judaism. So what was the conflict between the Jews and the Samaritans? These are significant aspects of biblical and both biblical and historical narratives that are both rooted in religious, cultural, and political differences. Historical background. So, origins of the divide. The division between the Jews and Samaritans traces back to the Assyrian conquest of the northern kingdom of Israel that happened around the year of 722 BCE. This leaded to the mingling of populations in different religious practices. The Samaritans claimed to be the true keepers of the Israelites' faith that centered around Mount Gerizim rather than Jerusalem. Different religious texts. The Samaritans had their version of the Pentateuch, which is the Hebrew Bible. Distinctive from the Jewish Torah, rejecting other Jewish sacred texts. The difference deepened religious divisions as each group viewed its sculptures as more authentic. Key conflicts. Temple disagreements. One of the most significant disagreements involved the location of the temple. While Jews considered the temple in Jerusalem as the centre of their worship, the Samaritans, on the other hand, believed Mount Gerizim held the honour. Cultural and social tensions. Over centuries, social factors magnified these religious discrepancies, thus affecting inter-community relations and social attitudes. These included restrictions on intermarriage and communal access, fostering animosity. Impact and resolution. During the Second Temple period, conflicts persisted with with instances of hostility and confrontation, including the destruction of the Second Temple by the Jews around the year of 110 BCE. New Testament narratives. The parable of the Good Samaritan presents an example of empathy and kindness transcending cultural boundaries. It encourages understanding and recollection amongst historical diversions. Right, the conflicts between illustrates how historical tensions can evolve and challenge So the concept of a good Samaritan, this is a very famous story which can be found in the Gospel of Luke within the New Testament. The parable provides a profound moral lesson on comparison and neighbourliness. So the gospel, right, so setting the scene, Jesus shares this parable in response to a lawyer's question about gaining eternal life and asks, "Who is my neighbour?" The narrative sets on a dangerous road from Jerusalem to Jericho, known for its treacherous terrain and presence of bandits. The incident. A traveller is attacked by robbers, left severely injured and helpless. As he lies on the road, a priest and a Levite pass by, choosing not to help him due to various reasons, which one of the reasons were Jewish purity laws, which we will discuss in a future episode. Unexpected compassion. Contrary to expectation, a Samaritan, a member of a group typically ostracized and regarded with hostility by the Jewish people, stops to aid the injured man. He tends to his wounds, provides transport on his donkey, and ensures the safety and healing at his head, footing the expenses. Right. Unexpected meaning and implication. The parable challenges listeners to reconsider social prejudices and highlights kindness and mercy as innate aspects of true neighbourliness. It emphasises that one's neighbour isn't defined by proximity or similarity, but by acts of compassion and empathy. Lessons and reflections. The story underscores pivotal moral lessons that continue to resonate across various contexts. It invites confrontation on the university of kindness, urging actions beyond social norms and prejudice. Types of cultural barriers. Language differences. Language can be a significant barrier to empathy, as it may hinder effective communication and understanding. Misinterpretation or lack of expression can lead to detachment instead of connection. Stereotypes and prejudice. Preconceived notions or stereotypes about other cultures can cloud judgment and prevent genuine empathetic engagement. These biases create diversions and reluctance to understand individual narratives. Cultural practices. Differences in traditions, norms, and values might create misunderstanding or discomfort, leading to difficulty in recognising other experiences and emotions. It's important to appreciate diversity in practices without judgment. Learning about different cultures, ways to foster empathy, active listening, embracing patience and alternatives can bridge communication gaps, allowing for better understanding of diverse perspectives and fostering empathy. Cultural education. Learning about different cultures actively demonstrates stereotypes and encourages appreciation of diversity in practices and belief. This knowledge enriches empathetic engagement, reflective dialogue. Conversations centered around shared humanity rather than differences encourages empathy, reflects on shared values and experiences, and it can nurture understanding and unity. Engaging, right. Now we're going to talk a bit about the Maccabean revolt. So this is an intriguing journey. See ya. Yeah, I know. Right, so while the Maccabees and the stories surrounding them are well known for their role in Jewish history, the book isn't the book of the Mishnah isn't a recognised text in traditional biblical or apocryphal canon. Nevertheless, so let's explore the Maccabean revolt. Historical context. The Maccabean revolt took place in the 2nd century BCE against the Seleucid Empire that was led by the king Achosius. It was sparked by Jewish opposition to enforced Hellenization and the destruction of the Jewish temple. Key figures. Judas Maccabeus, known for his bravery and leadership, became a central figure leading the revolt. His strategic prowess led to successful reclaiming of the temple and restoration of worship. Hanukkah celebrations. The victories commemorated by the Jewish festival of Hanukkah, highlighting themes of resistance, faith, and lasting of the Mount Zion for 8 days. Hasmonean dynasty. The Maccabeans initiated the Hasmonean dynasty, ushering in a period of Jewish autocracy and eventually expanded and influenced religious practices, politics through internal conflicts. The Maccabeans are embodiments of Jewish cultural perverses, perseverance and external pressure, highlighting themes such as religious identity and resistance. Right. So the overall of the book. So it examines Jewish history from the Maccabean revolt, leading to the formation of the Masha around 200 CE. This period extirpates significant changes in Jewish society, culture, and religious practices, political and social dynamics. The book offers insights into how Jewish society evolved among varying political landscapes and social challenges, including shifts from Hasmonean rule to Roman governance. Right, so key themes of chapter 1, the time of the first temple. The first temple is also known as Solomon's Temple. This was constructed around the year 957 BC in Jerusalem, serving as a pivotal religious and cultural centre for ancient Israelites. The era marked significant historical events in social shifts. It was a period of constellation under the United Monarchy, with King Saul, David, and Solomon establishing Jerusalem as the capital and centralising worship practices, religious practices, and beliefs. The temple was central to religious practices, hosting sacrifices, festivals, and rituals integral to the spiritual and communal life of the Israelites. These practices reinforced collective identity of faith and faith. The temple housed the Ark of the Covenant, believed to contain sacred objects and manifesting divine presence, furthering enriching spiritual significance. Social structure, governance intertwined with religious leadership, with prophets addressing political and moral concerns, often using adherence to divine laws and justice. Social structures were influenced by tribal affiliations and local governments, reflecting complexity in social interactions. And lastly, despite its prosperity, this period was marked by challenges, including internal conflicts and external threats from neighbouring empires, prompting adaptations in political strategies and alliances. The time of the first temple signifies a formative period in early Judaism, reflecting themes of constellation, faith, and consolidation, faith, and cultural identity. Exploring the historical narratives invites reflections on the evolution of collective identity amidst challenges. And this now concludes this week's episode of Every Day is a School Day with the Butterfly Princess. Thank you for joining me. Take care, and I will see you very soon.